Greetings, I'm Marten Rabarts, Director of New Zealand International Film Festival, Whānau Mārama. I'm here with the director and one of the lead actors of the film Paradise Drifters. Let me introduce you now to Mees Peijnenburg and Jonas Smulders.
Hello.
There they are. Joining us from Berlin. Mees is in Berlin, having a vacation with his friends, and Jonas is in beautiful Amsterdam, my old hometown. Yes. Good to see you both. In terms of, in the honouring sort of full disclosure, I have to say that this film and these two artists, filmmaker and actor, I've had quite a lot to do with over the years when I was working in my old job. So I'm just delighted personally to see you again. It's been great. I've been missing you.
Same here.
Same here.
And we have a film that is Mees's first feature film, following on from some beautiful and very well received short films. Jonas and Mees come from a group of young artists who also routinely work with each other. So working together on previous films and now this one. Mees, when you wrote this script, were you talking to Jonas as you know, a friend, someone you've worked with before? Did you discuss the script with him that arrived at this story?
I think we discussed the film. I think we talked about it, but I had Jonas coming over for an audition, even though we've been working like for the last 4 films together, and we've been having a super great friendship and relationship due to that. But for this film, I was testing, looking, trying to find, or maybe aiming to go in several directions, not knowing yet where to go. And then when Jonas came by for an audition, it was immediately clear that he should play this role. And he was the best of all the people that came by. So I think we spoke about it, but not in certain terms that he was definitely going to play it yet. Okay. But while afterwards, we've been discussing the script for an intense period, extensively and a lot.
The script itself depicts a part of Dutch society that we don't usually see. I mean, even if you live in the Netherlands, you don't necessarily engage every day with people who are living outside of the comfort zone of Dutch society. And I think all 3 of us I used to live within that, and I'd say you two both still do. What drew you to these kinds of characters and these kinds of worlds, Mees?
As you told already, this film, you could see this film as a following up of a short film we did before together, Jonas and I, about a brother and sister being raised in youth care, traveling from foster home to youth prison to all different kinds of the backdrop of society, but within a system of the Netherlands that has a backup, that serves as a backup for youngsters that are in difficult conditions. And while I was researching that film, I came across so many extremely beautiful stories about people who, about the lives afterwards, about when they turn 18 and the backdrop of society falls and there's nothing to fall back upon. And even though I was living in the center of Amsterdam and I was living this wealthy life, I saw these kids crossing around my area, not knowing before yet that it was all around us. And these stories haunted me. And they, even though, as I said, I wasn't raised in the same conditions, I could find myself completely in the same quest for love, quest for a life together, something, a fighting spirit that shined from them was amazing. So I kept researching and I kept,
you shaped them, you built them. I mean, we meet them in the story, of course. Jonas, as you were developing your character for this role, did you do any particular research towards the kinds of characters that Mees has just described?
Just like Mees said, we did a lot of research for the previous film. Mm-hmm. So we went to these youth prisons. Mm-hmm. We talked to a lot of guys, and I think Mees just fed me with his stories, and I would talk with him about that a lot.
Yeah. Your character in the film is an innocent who's driven by a lot of love in a very dark world. He's sort of a bright light, sort of burning in some kind of a darkness. Is that did you see the character in that kind of a way? Because that's I think how audiences see him. He's just
I think
trying to be good in a bad world.
He has this unconditional love for his brother.
Yeah.
And but and he has nothing, and at the same time, that's this love for his brother. The brother is like the only thing he's got, and he's holding on to that. But he's also a little bit naive in that way. And for me, that was really interesting because I don't have a sibling myself, but Mees does, and actually I'm more figuring out that I'm just playing Mees all the time. Also in the previous films we made. Yeah.
Variations of Mees. Well, you know, he's good research.
I realized that.
Well, I guess there was a loss of innocence to the story as well, and yet a finding of strength and agency, like characters who have been propelled by forces outside themselves, who are only reacting to the difficulty of their circumstances. In the end, two of them at least, as we know, really claim the power in their lives again. Did you always want to create a hopeful ending, at least for the two characters who survived the story, Mees?
Yes, that was the initial idea, because it's a gritty and dark world we're portraying. It's harsh, it's uncompromised in certain ways, but the way I saw these characters while I was researching, I saw a fighting spirit, as I said before, a quest for love, a hunt for something beautiful.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to romanticize anything, but I want to have a little light at the end of the tunnel that you see there might be a better future coming up, and there probably will be, but it's going to be, and it will maintain a bumpy road.
Right.
But there is a beauty in it. I wanted to portray them in a positive way.
Yeah. I think you walk that line really, that very fine line very, very well in the film, because it's something you could get terribly easily wrong, be very sentimental about giving characters in difficulty a classic happy ending. And what about, let's talk about the character played by Bilal, who's one of those characters who's come out of an institution where he's been taken care of, and is just has no skills whatsoever to navigate his way through life, and he finds some kind of for a time some kindred spirits, some allies. But tell us how you feel about him and why he's in the film in particular.
While I was researching, I came across so many stories of people who didn't make it, who tried but couldn't, and I wanted to give them a voice in a certain way. I wanted to shine light on them as well without making it the main line, because that will be a negativity to it. But still, I wanted to be honest, and I wanted to be pure to the fact that it's also a very harsh world for certain people who literally have nobody and nothing to fall back upon, and also can't manage themselves mentally, which is the case very often. So I was thinking, how can I shine light on him, on that certain, he's representing all these different stories, obviously, it's not one.
Yeah.
How can I integrate him into this world and still keep it honest, or without making it too damaged for the rest of the characters, that because he's committing suicide, it's a hard event for them emotionally as well.
Well, I think it speaks really well to you as a writer and as a director to weave those three stories with honesty and not let one tip the balance too far to a direction you don't want to go. So as you wrote the script, and actually as you directed it, as you found the characters working with your actors, were there ways that you negotiated that balance, found that balance in particular? Because it's always there, and yet it's such an interesting film because it could also just tip over in the wrong direction very easily.
It's a very hard one, I must say. That was the biggest adventure while we were editing it, to make that a balanced feel, because obviously it's tipping over quite easily, because one plays out the other, the emotionally stronger connection, and then you're lost, and you're gone on Jonas's line, or you're gone on Tamar, the lead actress's her line. So that was, and it was my first feature, so I learned a lot. I can tell already. Incredibly amounts of failures that I had to cover up in certain ways, or that I wanted to show, just to see that it's also there's some beauty in it, of those things. Yeah, it was. I had those three narratives lining up on post-its on my wall for like 3 years, to see how and what events were the main events of them, and then how we can do sub themes to their characters. That's it was a puzzle, a real puzzle.
Well, no, I mean, and you found the places for all those puzzle pieces really, really well. So, and a difficult line to hold. Jonas, as you were working on this film, it was Mees's first feature film, but not yours.
No.
You had more experience than him in this case, even though you'd done shorts together, of course, and TV. Was there a way of working with the character of Tamar and Bilal's character that was different in some way than you'd worked before? It feels very, very raw and very honest. Did you improvise in different ways? Was there a way of working between the two of you that maybe was fresh for you, that you discovered things as an actor?
Tamar, the lead actor, she never acted before in a film, so it was her first time performing, and actually Mees and we talked about doing a lot of improvisations on set as well, and I think the dialogue was more of you can see that as a starting point. So we did a lot of improvisations, but also working with Tamar was quite special, because she has this raw energy. She brings this raw energy to set, and actually she is the character in a way. Really. And I had to more become the character, but she helped me a lot. But sometimes it was also a little bit. Yeah, it was also difficult, because she didn't have that many experience, so it's work on scenes for a long time.
I remember when I heard that this was the first thing she'd ever done as an actress. It's astonishing, because she's phenomenal in the film, and certainly stood up as strongly with you and Bilal, who have much more experience. Again, that same balance came from the three of you as well. With the film, I guess, I mean, we're in a world that's like in constant flux, and you've looked at the underbelly, the usually unseen underbelly of the Netherlands. What drives you, Mees, and just generally, what are you looking at doing next? What have you got your teeth into? Because I know you can't make a film that doesn't really matter to you.
I'm going to dive. I'm already deep in something completely different. A psychological warfare at the moment. A family, marriage damaged story. Okay. So it's it's weird. I don't know. I can't really put my finger on what really drives me all the way. It's where I wake up with every morning, I'd say. And that's, if my heart keeps beating, I'm continuing on it. And then eventually I hope I can make the film. And then I see there's so many interesting worlds in our world that I want to dive. Hopefully I can dive in for the rest of my life. Yeah. So now I'm, I was going for something completely different now, which is too fragile almost to explain more.
No. Just like to get a hint of the direction you're going, and
but it will be much more aesthetic.
Okay.
As well.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. But
So far.
Jonas, before we leave you, I know you've got some more work coming up. There's more film work. You were talking about a TV series before we came on air together. But I know in the past you've also been interested in directing yourself. How's that going? How are your interests in directing and being a director yourself, or do you have a project in the works and along those lines?
Yeah, I just received some funding from the Dutch Film
Oh,
Fund
great.
last month, so that's really nice. So I'm planning to shoot my first short film as a director.
That's fantastic. All right, that's great. No, I'm super happy. I know you had to put some of that on hold because you got a big role in another film, and it's great that that's moving forward. Really looking forward to it. So, look, thank you both for getting up early there in Berlin and Amsterdam. Thank you for talking about.
Thank you for having us,
really
Marten, for the festival.
Film.
Thank you so much.
It's always a joy to see you, and thank you for sharing the film with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.